Hello everybody, I'm Tom McClintock with NSI Partners. Thank you so much for inviting me to Small Business Saturday, Small Business Saturday's after party. Actually, NSI Partners is having our own Christmas party right now as we speak. So we decided to set up a pre-recorded video interview to talk about emerging trends in online marketing and to give folks some exciting news about what the possibilities are for expanding your reach and your revenue, particularly in light of the things learned at Small Business Saturday.
So Tom, what kind of questions are you getting this new year? While we're turning on to a new year, what kind of questions are you getting mostly from your clients?
Well, we're getting actually a lot of questions about bots and a lot of questions about Snapchat. And those are two very exciting technologies that are just going to be more and more important in 2017.
What are bots?
Well, bots are basically cross-platform agents that sit on messaging apps. So if you think about a messaging app like Facebook Messenger is one, Kik is another, WhatsApp is another, those are all very popular ones, and they allow that question and answer interface. So you can now go onto Messenger and you can subscribe to, say, the Nordstrom's bot as a friend. You can friend Nordstrom's. And that's not actually a person that you're talking to. That's basically artificial intelligence. And that artificial intelligence is pretty sophisticated. It knows hundreds of questions it can ask you to narrow down what kind of clothing you might like to buy from Nordstrom's. So you could say, hey, I'm interested in getting a pair of shoes. It might come back and say, well, Tom, that's great to hear. Are you more interested in sneakers or boots? And so forth. And I would just continue to answer those questions. And because I can pay for it through Facebook Messenger, the shoes that I end up picking will eventually show up at my doorstep 2 days later.
That's pretty amazing.
That is, and it's not just for e-commerce. There are chatbots. Siri is a bot. Cortana is a bot. These are all bots. This is an age of artificial intelligence and natural language processing getting more and more sophisticated. How this applies to small business is that you can do much better customer service by offloading the bulk of it to an artificial intelligence agent, for lack of a better term, and then take the higher level questions that you would assign a human to answer. So maybe your level 0 and your level 1 questions would be handled automatically, and you would be left with like your level 2 issues.
That makes perfect sense, and such a smart thing for large companies. How do we start to use those? Well, maybe that's a bigger question, but is there a way that we as smaller businesses can start to use those a little bit more without having to have a huge programming background?
Yes, actually, the great thing about bots versus apps, so apps have been actually in decline for the last few years. You know, it used to be that when somebody said, oh, there's this really cool app I just downloaded on my iPhone, everyone would run over to that, to the App Store, and they would download that same app and they would try it out and so forth. Well, now, when's the last time you did that?
It's been a long time, right?
It's kind of like when in 1999, if I told you, hey, I found this great website. It's at http:// let me check, www, and you'd go to it. I can remember doing that. But now, if I tell you, oh, I've got this great website, you're not going to just go to it. You need to have a more compelling reason than somebody told you, oh, it's kind of fun. And so the problem is people are now managing hundreds of apps, dozens of apps, and it's just too much. And it's kind of an effort, and you got to keep them all updated and figure out what screen they're all in and so forth. So it's just not worth it. However, the exception to that has been in messaging apps. People talk about millennials spending, hours on their phone. Well, most of that time is being spent on a messaging app. And those apps are on the rise. And the reason why they're on the rise is because you can use that Q&A interface to talk to your friends, or to talk to Nordstrom's, or to talk to Poncho the Weather Cat, or CNN, or any brand. There are now 12,000 bots available for free on Facebook Messenger.
Wow, that's a lot.
So you can take your pick of what you want, and the good news from a development standpoint is that that platform is already in place. So you don't have to, if you were making an app, you'd have to start from scratch. What's the screen going to look like in portrait? What's it going to look like in landscape? Where are my call to action buttons? What's the color palette? But for a bot that rides on top of a messaging app, the messaging app's already made most of those decisions. So all you have to do is maybe the more tedious but less expensive work of figuring out what are the ideal questions and answers. What are the questions that I'm going to get, and what should the best answers be so that I can, push that prospect along down my funnel.
Yes, and I was just about to say that, and what a great way to use bots to push the ideal clients along the sales funnel. Great idea. Now, I heard you mention Snapchat too.
Snapchat's pretty exciting.
Yeah, what are they doing?
Well, we wrote a newsletter article about this, and I was just in Boston last week, and I ran into one of our, we work a lot with associations, and this was one association that has now gotten into Snapchat for lobbying efforts on Capitol Hill.
Oh, wow.
Right, because you can, so Snapchat, first of all, if you haven't used Snapchat, I think the best way of describing it is it's like GoPro meets Facebook. So GoPro are those, where you're wearing the camera on your forehead and you're, filming your great skateboarding expertise. I have not uploaded a lot of those films myself just yet, but I'm sure that they're coming. But at any rate, with Snapchat, you open up the app and you immediately can press record, and then you can just record anything, and then it's immediately uploaded to your account. It only lasts there for 24 hours in most cases. So you don't have to maintain a persona. You don't have to say, I'm really all about being like a sophisticated online marketer, so does this movie really represent? You don't have to worry about that because it goes away in 24 hours. And it's more about having a constant stream of videos so that you can connect with your friends, connect with people that you're interested in, connect with your customers and your prospects. So this lobbyist is putting together films about they're involved in healthcare, and they want to get the word out about how healthcare affects the population and what more needs to be done in terms of funding healthcare and things like that. So he has these videos, but he can also apply filters and geofences to it. So a filter is something that it's an overlay that you put on a Snapchat video, and they're generally supposed to be fun and exciting, but they can also be informative. So a geofence will apply a filter within a certain geographical area. So you can set up your geofence area, and you could set up a geo filter where everyone who's making a snap within the bounds of that area can has at their option, they can apply your particular filter. So if it's like National Cat Day, you can have a filter for National Cat Day. And in fact, if you were part of the dog lobbyist group and you didn't really like cats, you could set up a dog geofence for National Cat Day. And every snap that goes live would have the option of having like a dog frame around it, which might get the cat people angry. But that's an option if you're into politics on Capitol Hill. And it's amazing that Snapchat is now part of this.
So Tom, I saw this morning in my news that Instagram is going to start doing kind of like Snapchat, where some of your posts can go away
It
quicker.
disappears, yes.
Yeah.
No, exactly, and that's the amazing thing. Like, there are so many innovations going on. You really do have to follow marketing news, and we try to keep up with that on NSI Partners through Marketing GPS. We have our Marketing GPS Challenge Hour at 3 o'clock on Fridays on kvcmradio.com. We have our Facebook page. We have our Marketing GPS workshops. We have our online marketing newsletter. So these are methods that we're putting out there. We want everyone involved in Small Business Saturday to be aware of, so that they can use, because it's impossible for one person, let alone even one company, by themselves to keep up with all of the changing opportunities and challenges with online marketing. So we want to be a community resource so that we can work together and track that stuff. Anyway, I wanted to wish everyone the best for the Small Business Saturday after party. I'm Tom McClintock, and this has been great to be with you guys virtually, and we look forward to seeing you all for the rest of this month and into 2017.